The Blackfeet Genisis, read by J. Dunlap. All the animals of the plain at one time heard and knew him, and all the birds of the air heard and knew him. All the things he had made understood him, when he spoke it to them, the birds, the animals, and the people. Old Man was traveling about, south of here, making the people. He came from the south, traveling north, making animals and birds as he passed along. He made the mountains, prairies, timber, and the brush first. So he went along, traveling northward, making things as he went, putting rivers here and there and falls on them, putting red paint here and there in the ground, fixing up the world as we see it today. He made the Milk River and crossed it, and being tired, went up on a little hill and lay down to rest. As he lay on his back, stretched out on the ground, with arms extended, he marked himself out with stones, the shape of his body, head, legs, arms, and everything. There you can see those rocks today. After he had rested, he went on northward, and stumbled over a knoll and fell down on his knees. Then he said, "You are a bad thing to be stumbling against." So he raised up 2 large buttes there, and named them the Knees, and they are called so this today. He went to the farther north, and with some of the rocks he carried with him, he built the Sweetgrass Hills. Old Man covered the plains with grass for the animals to feed on. He marked off a piece of ground, and in it he made to grow all kinds of roots and berries, camas, wild carrots, wild turnips, sweet root, bitter root, sarvice berries, bullberries, cherries, plums, and rosebuds. He put the trees in the ground. He put all kinds of animals on the ground. And then he made the bighorn with its big head and horns. He made it out on the prairie. It did not seem to travel easily on the prairie. It was awkward, and so could not go fast. So he took it by one of its horns, and led it up to the mountains, and turned it loose. And it skipped about the rocks, and went up fearful places with ease. So he said, "This is the place that suits you. This is what you are fitted for, the rocks and the mountains." While he was in the mountains, he made the antelopes out of dirt, and turned it loose, to see how it would go. It ran so fast that it fell over some rocks and hurt itself. He saw that this would not do, and took the antelope down on the prairie, and turned it loose. And it ran away fast and gracefully, and he said, "This is what you are suited to." One day Old Man determined that he would make a woman and a child. So he formed them both, the woman and the child, her son of clay. After he had molded the clay in human shape, he said to the clay, "You must be people," and then he covered it up and left it and went away. The next morning he went to the place and took the covering off, and saw that the clay shapes had changed a little. The second morning there was still more change, and the third still more. The fourth morning he went to the place and took the covering off, looked at the images, and told them to rise and walk, and so they did. They walked down to the river with their maker, and then he told them that his name was Napi Old Man. As they were standing by the river, the woman said to him, "How is it? Will we always live? Will there be no end to it?" He said, "I had never thought of that. We will have to decide it. I will take this buffalo chip and throw it in the river. If it floats when people die, in 4 days they will become alive again. They will die for only 4 days. But if it sinks, there will be an end to them." He threw the chip in the river, and it floated. The woman turned and picked up a stone and said, "No, I will throw this stone in the river. If it floats, we will always live, and if it sinks, the people must die, and that they may always be sorry for each other." The woman threw the stone into the water, and it sank. "There," said Old Man, "you have chosen. There will be an end to them." It was not many nights after that the woman's child died, and she cried a great deal for it. She said to Old Man, "Let us change this, the law that you first made. Let that be the law." He said, "Not so. What is made law must be law. We will undo nothing that we have done. The child is dead, but it cannot be changed. People will have to die. That is how we came to be people, and it is He who made us. The first people were poor and naked, and did not know how to get a living. Old Man showed them the roots and berries, and told them that they could eat them, that in a certain month of the year they could peel the bark off some trees and eat it, and it was good. He told the people that the animals should be their food, and gave them to the people, saying, "These are your herds," he said. "All these little animals that live in the ground, rats, squirrels, skunks, beavers, are good to eat. You need not fear to eat their flesh." He made all the birds that fly, and told the people that there is no harm in their flesh, that it could be eaten. The first people that he created, he used to take through the timber and swamps and over the prairies and show them the different plants. Of a certain plant he would say, "The root of this plant, if gathered in a certain month of the year, is good for a certain sickness." So they learned the power of all herbs. In those days there were buffalo. Now the people had no arms, but those black animals with long beards were armed. And once, as the people were moving about, the buffalo saw them and ran after them and hooked them and killed and ate them. One day, as the maker of the people was traveling over the country, he saw some of his children that he had made lying dead, torn to pieces and partly eaten by the buffalo. When he saw this, he was very sad. He said, "This will not do. I will change this. The people shall eat the buffalo." He went to some of the people who were left and said to them, "How is it that you people do nothing to these animals that are killing you?" People said, "What can we do? We have no way to kill these animals, while they are armed and can kill us." Then said the Maker, "That is not hard. I will make you a weapon that will kill these animals." So he went out and cut some sarviceberry shoots and brought them in and peeled the bark off them. He took a larger piece of wood and flattened it and tied a string to it and made a bow. Now as he was the master of all birds and could do with them as he wished, he went out and caught one and took feathers from its wing and split them and tied them to the shaft of wood. He tied 4 feathers along the shaft and tried the arrow at a mark and found that it did not fly well. He took these feathers off and put on 3, and when he tried it again, he found that it was good. So he went out and began to break sharp pieces off the stones. He tried them and found that the black flint stones made the best arrow joints, and some white flints. Then he taught the people how to use these things. Then he said, "The next time you go out, take these things with you, and use them as I tell you, and do not run from these animals. When they run at you, as soon as they get pretty close, shoot the arrows at them, as I have taught you, and you will see that they will run from you, or will run in a circle around you." Now as people became plenty, one day 3 men went out on the plain to see the buffalo, but they had no arms. They saw the animals, but when the buffalo saw the men, they ran after them and killed 2 of them, but one got away. One day after this, the people went to a little hill to look about, and the buffalo saw them and said, "Saya, there is some more of our food," as they rushed on them. This time the people did not run. They began to shoot at the buffalo with the bows and arrows Napi had given them, and the buffalo began to fall. But in the fight a person was killed. At this time these people had flint knives given to them, and they cut up the bodies of the dead buffalo. It is not healthful to eat raw meat, so Old Man gathered soft, dry, rotten driftwood and made a punk of it. And then he got a piece of hardwood and drilled a hole in it with an arrow point, and gave them all a pointed piece of hard wood, and taught them how to make fire with fire sticks, and to cook the flesh of these animals and eat it. They got a kind of stone that was from the land, and then took another harder stone and worked one upon the other, and hollowed out the softer one, and made a kettle of it. This was the fashion of their dishes. As Old Man said to the people, "Now if overcome, you may go to sleep and get power. Something will come to you in your dream, and that will help you. Whatever these animals tell you to do, you must obey them, as they appear to you in your sleep. Be guided by them. If anybody wants help, if you are alone and traveling, and cry aloud for help, your prayer will be answered. It may be by the eagles, perhaps by the buffalo, or by the bears. Whatever animal answers your prayer, you must listen to him. And that was how the first people got through the world, by the power of their dreams.